The Zarvians didn't care much for details. When the warning signal flickered across the interstellar relay, buzzing like a dying hornet, their response was immediate. Target, uninhabited Class M, coordinates locked. Initiate strike. Their ships cut through the void like knives, sleek, deadly, confident. In the high command chamber aboard the flagship, officers leaned over holographic displays, smirking at a blue-green dot they assumed was an easy target. A handful of humans scuttling about? Child's play. They didn't check the name. They didn't read the intelligence briefings. They didn't ask questions. They launched anyway. And Earth woke up in ways the Zarvians had only ever read about in horror holobooks, a planet-wide arsenal disguised as a fragile, peaceful world. The first warning came from orbital satellites. One by one, they blinked out. But not with fire. Not with destruction. With precision. Earth's ancient AI networks, relics of Cold War paranoia, had awakened. They had learned the approach velocities, the energy signatures, the attack vectors. Within seconds, weapons meant to obliterate New York vaporized the attacking drones mid-flight. Communication channels meant to coordinate strikes were flooded with binary-coded jokes, snippets of Shakespeare, and distorted 1980s sitcom laughter. Captain Elena Morales stood on the deck of the orbital defense station, coffee in hand, while alarms screamed around her. "Well," she said, glancing at her XO, "they forgot to check the planet's name." Her XO, a grizzled ex-space marine who'd survived 3 minor interstellar wars, grunted and flipped a switch. They didn't read the fine print. We're about to remind them why humans invented war. By the time the Zarvians realized Earth wasn't a backwater mining colony but a planet-wide fortress with a population that laughed at annihilation, their ships were already in pieces. Scattered like dead leaves across the upper atmosphere, the debris of their arrogance burned against the sun. Below, humanity's defenses were already moving. Not with predictable military formations, but with improvisation, cunning, and brutality that no AI could fully anticipate. Entire cities glimmered with decoy energy signatures, while guerrilla squads activated old military bunkers, improvised drones, and scavenged tanks that fired with deadly efficiency. Former farmers became pilots, retirees became engineers, hackers became weapons of mass disruption. The Zarvians, confident and arrogant, had assumed Earth's greatest threat would be fear. They hadn't counted on humans being fearless. And this was only the beginning. Below the orbiting battle, Earth's second wave unfolded, not conventional armies, but something far deadlier, human ingenuity in full combat swing. Cities flickered with false electromagnetic signatures, mimicking military complexes, tricking Zarvian scanners into thinking they'd located command centers. As the aliens fired, humans struck from the shadows. Guerrilla squads wielded a lethal mix of scavenged tech and cutting-edge AI enhancements, hitting alien supply lines before disappearing into the urban labyrinth. In the deserts of Nevada, ex-truck drivers piloted orbital interceptors like rodeo cowboys, weaving through debris fields, dropping precise kinetic strikes on alien drones. In Siberia, retired engineers activated long-buried nuclear bunkers, rigged with AI-guided targeting systems that fired with surgical precision. Humanity didn't just fight, they choreographed a symphony of destruction. One Zarvian warship, convinced it had cornered Earth's resistance, broadcast a surrender message across the globe. Its metallic voice, oily and arrogant, echoed through human channels, "You are outmatched. Cease resistance, and mercy shall be considered." A lone human fighter jet cut through the atmosphere, releasing a payload straight onto the alien communication array. The transmission ended mid-word, replaced by human laughter, classic rock anthems, and the unmistakable sound of marching boots. Captain Elena Morales watched the bridge displays, unmoved by alarms and warnings. "Mercy isn't in our vocabulary," she said, voice calm. The room nodded in grim agreement. Earth had awakened, and it was hungry. Alien drones attempted to swarm New York, London, Tokyo, but everywhere they struck, humans anticipated, countered, and destroyed. From hidden bunkers, disguised energy cannons ripped through alien hulls. From commandeered satellites, Earth's AI redirected plasma blasts back at the attackers. Every failed strike was logged, analyzed, and used to improve the next counterattack. By the end of the second day, the Zarvians understood a horrifying truth: Earth wasn't defenseless. Earth wasn't afraid. Earth fought back with intelligence, ferocity, and a streak of dark humor that mocked every miscalculation. Morales leaned back in her chair, sipping her coffee. They came for a planet. They got a lesson in chaos, she said. And the lesson had just begun. By the second week, the Zarvians were desperate. Their flagship hovered over London, believing that destroying cultural landmarks would finally break human morale. Instead, humanity did something no one had predicted: they weaponized history itself. Across Europe, monuments, museums, and abandoned fortresses had been retrofitted into anti-orbital batteries. Laser grids hid inside the Eiffel Tower, electromagnetic slugs launched from the Colosseum, Tesla coils across Berlin fried alien circuits before they even touched the ground. Every stone, every statue, every relic became a weapon against invaders who thought they understood warfare. Then came the most brilliant, horrifying twist. Humanity had infiltrated the Zarvian fleet itself. Using a combination of AI, hacked satellites, and the genius of a particularly vindictive teenager from Ohio, the humans turned the invaders' own ships against them. A fleet that had fired relentlessly on New York now tore through its own lines. Alien vessels collided, energy shields overloaded, engines ripped apart from the inside. Admiral Kryth, the Zarvian commander, screamed across the intercom, his face twisted in disbelief. How did they? Captain Elena Morales leaned back in her chair, calm as ever, sipping her coffee. Rule 1 of war, she said, voice steady. Never underestimate your enemy. Rule 2, always read the fine print. By the time the flagship exploded, scattering debris across orbit like a glittering meteor storm, humanity hadn't just survived, they had rewritten the rules of first contact. Every maneuver, every counterattack, every improvised weapon had been executed with ruthless precision and savage ingenuity. The Zarvian fleet limped, shattered and confused, retreating into deep space. Their arrogance had been their undoing. Every assumption, every prediction, every calculation had been turned against them. Humans didn't just fight, they adapted. They improvised. They conquered through intelligence and sheer, unrelenting audacity. Below, on the streets of London, Paris, and Tokyo, humans cheered, not just for survival, but for victory. Their laughter echoed through ruined cities, a sound the Zarvians would never forget. The invaders had expected surrender. What they received instead was annihilation, delivered with style, precision, and a grim, unshakable sense of humor. Earth was alive. Earth was dangerous. And Earth had just announced itself to the galaxy as a force no one could predict, control, or intimidate. Weeks after the last Zarvian ship limped away, Earth was quiet. Not peaceful, quiet in that tense, victorious way only survivors of war can feel. Cities were smoldering, satellites strewn like fallen stars, and yet humans walked among the ruins, laughing, drinking, joking about how they had taught some visitors a lesson. The surviving Zarvian diplomats arrived, not with weapons, but with trembling hands and bowed heads. They expected punishment. They found humans reorganizing, rebuilding, and already laughing at the idea of fear. They didn't understand the secret of Earth. How could they? Earth had no single military doctrine, no unified strategy, no predictable tactics. What looked like chaos was genius. What looked like improvisation was instinct honed over millennia. Humans were a storm. Captain Morales watched from the orbital station as the alien representatives were ushered into a makeshift meeting room on the rebuilt Pentagon. "They'll be back," she said, arms crossed, eyes narrowed. Her XO smirked. "Yeah. But next time, they'll remember whose planet this is." And humanity didn't wait. Underground bunkers were transformed into laboratories. Former farmers became pilots. Retirees became field commanders. Hackers became weapons designers. The planet itself was a living, breathing fortress, every city and forest and mountain part of an invisible defense network. When the Zarvians finally returned, Hoping to overwhelm Earth with sheer force, they found cities shielded by invisible energy grids, orbital interceptors that moved like living predators, and a population that smiled in the face of annihilation. Earth had survived. Earth had thrived. And above all, Earth had laughed. The galaxy learned a hard truth that day: humans were not just another species. Humans were a reckoning. An idea. A storm that could not be tamed, predicted, or intimidated. Any alien who forgot the name of the planet they were attacking would be reminded, harshly and thoroughly, that humanity was unlike anything they had ever encountered. Because humans didn't just fight. Humans didn't just survive. Humans innovated. They adapted. They exacted vengeance. And they always had the last laugh. The stars would remember.